So where I want to start is with the word composer. There are a lot of people who carry a lot of baggage when it comes to that word. Some folks who don't like to be described as composer, generally speaking, much less as it involves a specific project or a specific collaboration. So with that in mind, I wonder if the both of you would describe yourselves artistically. Maybe not necessarily composer as people think of it, but maybe as something else.
Well, it's funny you bring up this question because we were literally just talking about this the other day. And part of the reason we created Fora was to create a musical space or and a style of music that breaks down stereotypes and takes away these limits. So we were discussing these classifications. Is it a classification? Is it a limitation? Um, what does this word serve? And how can we best describe or best utilize a place for these letters collectively to give an audience or give people an idea of what's going to happen, you know? So it's very interesting to start with this question. Yeah. You can start.
Well, regarding as a composer, I do consider myself a composer. I think we both are, and but like Chrystal said, not only composer, right? I mean, it can be, I don't know. Sometimes when you think about composer, you go, specifically to orchestra, and sometimes you can just, just create.
Limit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You can literally be a composer of everything. Like you can just
or anything.
Anything.
I've been toying around with the idea of creator or creative. A composer can be of musical notes, letters, ideas, thinker, poet. I mean, it's a collection of ideas, so it's I don't know. We're trying to find ways to use words that are not tied to anything, that if anything expands and grows.
And also when I don't know, I have the feeling since I was very young, I remember like thinking as a composer, like, wow, this 500 pages and all that, like, so it was kind of like, okay, do I consider myself a composer? I'm not there yet, kind of, like since do I have to write 1,000 pages with like 500? So all this also makes me think that you can be a composer with a single line. You are a composer and you are, but well, this is what I think about composer. Not like everything has to be so huge and big and.
And also it's to mezzo-soprano. People say, oh, mezzo-soprano, and it's interesting because I don't know. I hesitate. I'm a storyteller. I am a community builder. I am an evangelist. My middle name is literally Evangeline. I share stories. I share the good news. I bring joy, and so it's very interesting to think of something like mezzo-soprano, this Fach system in the singer world of you only sing these notes. And actually my voice does what it does, right? So, it's always trying to get out of that box. So I think we're being dubious enough.
Well, for the sake of this conversation, maybe I'll use the word artists just to make sure that I'm covering all bases. So as artists, I wonder if you can talk a little bit about your artistic process and how that process was impacted one way or another through collaboratory.
Well, I'll start with my process. I start playing the accordion. My first introduction to accordion, and it's when I was at the age of 3 through my grandfather, and he taught me in a way that I had to feel before I start playing it. Like feel the notes, feel the what's going on around you, and then you perform, and then you play. So he wanted to make sure I played with heart, instead of with just the mind. And I try to take this from, wherever I go, I carry that with me. And especially talking about collab with like different artists, with composers, with, with a different language that's been, it's very exciting and it's unique experience. And so I try to learn it in the way that my grandfather taught me. And I always try to put myself inside of the composition so that I can try to experience it the best way as possible. That's kind of how I think.
For me, I usually have text, and so I start with the text. I like to read through the text and get a sense of what it's about, what it means to me, of course, and then also what I would like to share, or what, like, my objective with sharing the piece. And then I try to play through it. I'm not world-class pianist or anything. Well, I won't say I'm not, but but I play how I can through the piece as much as possible, just to get a sense sonorally of the land, the world that we're in, and then I put them together. I usually start, of course, by myself, and then with the rehearsal, you bring in either the pianist or the accordionist, and then the orchestra. Then you have the maestro, maestra, conductor, maestri. So that's kind of my journey. I start with the text.
So when it comes to the collaboratory process in particular, I think it's safe to say that it's a little different than completing a piece of music and submitting it to a conductor to perform. Is much more collaborative. I wonder if you both could speak to the collaborative nature of the creation of this composition right now.
Well, actually, we had a couple conversations with John and Kelly, and I remember the conversations specifically with Kelly, where we were just sharing, and it's interesting collaboratively, because it hasn't been necessarily a process where it's you give this part, you give this part. It's been just sharing. We were chatting with Kelly, and then some of the words are there. She just took them and created a world, and so it's very unique and interesting to see how that has developed, really. What about you?
Yeah, what I did in my part about the collab, like I know John didn't. He told us that he wasn't so familiar with the accordion, so I had to show him, like, okay, this is what I do with the accordion. He says, how can I, it's not only what you think. Accordion is not like this, it can be everything you can imagine you can do with the accordion. It's a very, very versatile instrument. And so I was able to show him a little bit of the accordion in a way that maybe 90% of the people, does not, like, they don't know.
Mm-hmm. And also being built into the piece are improvisational sections. And so that is collaboratory in itself. John has written something, and then Felipe is taking that and improvising on top of that. So that is like real-time collaboration, I would say.
Yeah, and we'll definitely circle back around to the collaborative and the improvisatory nature of this piece, and also the accordion, which is an instrument many people don't have much context on. But before we go there, earlier in this conversation, just a few minutes ago, you mentioned Fora. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what this is and its significance in the creation of this new work.
Oh, sure. So Felipe and I co-created Fora back in 2016 as a way to foster unity, peace, and understanding through music. Basically, to create a musical space and a style of expression that, like I said earlier, breaks down stereotypes, breaks down these walls, if you will, these limitations, these boxes, and it allows people, anyone, to come in and just enjoy theater. So when we met, Felipe went to one of my performances, and I like to tell this story where they had their bow ties on and they were crisp and they had their specific attire, and Felipe was kind of looking around like, well, what am I supposed to wear? Like, in my world, that's not how we vibe. And then I went to Felipe's performance, and it was another group of the style of people, and it was very much like the worlds live by themselves. And we just thought, why? I mean, both styles of music are amazing, and so it's or both styles are amazing. Yeah. And so it's just like, why can't everyone enjoy music for the sake of music? So we thought of collaborating and building this world, or expanding the world to be a place where we all can come and just have an experience, you know? So it came basically from lived experiences, but with the desire to just create a place where, you know, I'll share this. Forró means for all, and opera is a work of art. And so forrópera is creating great works of art for all. For all. That is literally
what forró means.
Yeah. Forrópera, that's what we're doing.
Well, there will certainly be no bow ties or anything like that required to be a
Yes.
part of this. So again, circling back to this idea of what audience members can come expecting to experience. There's, as you mentioned, improvisatory aspects of this piece. The accordion is very much at the center of this work. How can you preview this for audience members? What should they expect when they come to Carnegie Hall?
What I hope they expect, and not hope, what I encourage them to expect is something new, something different, something possibly out of their comfort zone. Yep. And we advocate, we encourage that, and something that is great. I hope they come expecting greatness and just like out of this world experience. I hope they come expecting to be a part of it. Yes, be a part of it. There are sections, you know, I don't know how much we can give away, but you know, I hope, I would encourage them to come expecting joy, wonderful things, and that's it. To come and to expect to enjoy themselves, and the rest of it, just leave it. I want them to come and live in the experience. I don't want them to come thinking they understand and they know, and wipe the slate clean. Just come and enjoy.
Yeah, and I want to pull on this thread, you know, that you presented. The audience should come and be a part of it, you know, as much as you can give away. I wonder if you could speak a little bit more to this, the audience not as just an onlooker, but a participant in the experience.
Yes. So I've always been a believer that the audience is a part of the experience. They are performers, agreed? Yeah. You know, they can help shift the atmosphere. Their energy goes this way, our energy flows that way, you know, so we are together collectively. And in this piece specifically, they can be a part of it as much as they would like. Now, I am very much out there, in there, all the places. So I will say this, I will be encouraging them the best way and the closest way that I can. But
and yeah, she can.
Yes, but come to breathe and live in the experience. I'll hint at that. Come to breathe and live in the experience with us.
Well,
there might even be a vocal moment or two. I mean, I don't know. Perhaps they might want to warm up. No, just kidding.
I was gonna say I'm waiting with bated breath when you talk about breathing. Well, where I wanted to wrap up this really brief conversation, you know, the American Composers Orchestra and its partners really do focus on music by living composers, living artists. From your perspectives, I wonder why that sort of work is important in our orchestral ecosystem.
I can go first?
Yeah, go for it.
So I talk a lot, as you can see. It's fine. He loves me.
It's really good.
Yeah, but for me, along the lines of forrópera, we strive to expand and grow mindsets, ideals, experiences, traditions, non-traditions. We're not trying to erase, but to expand. And so the only way we can do that is to create. And so in order to create, we have to be alive. We have to have living artists who can live in the moment, experience what the world is experiencing, and then share that through music, through artistry. And so I think it's very important to have living artists in these collaboratory positions, because they are the ones who can then take the experience, take the traditional, take what we've known, and then see what we need, see where we're going, see where we might go, and then create a space, create the pieces that, you know, in 10, 50, 100, 200, however many years, will then become something where then someone else, another living artist, will say, wow, we can grow and expand and go this way now. And so the only way to do that is to be alive, to be living. And so that's why I'm an advocate for living artists in these collaboratory positions. And also just I'm really inspired and encouraged by what organizations such as ACO are doing, because to have this incredible, I would say, I don't know, not to limit, but non-traditional artists, would you say, living in this more traditional world, collaborating, being willing to have the orchestra shift and expand and grow and change. I think that's phenomenal. I think it's so forward and advanced to have a person, an organization who can back a person who will say, no,
we're gonna do this differently.
Yes,
yeah, we're gonna do this way instead of like the traditional way or like that way.
We're not gonna come in 1, 2, 3. No, we're gonna come in and live in a different world. We're gonna create a different world. Like to have this collaboration with an artist such as Felipe and a standard traditional orchestra is, for me, I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely very different for me, and I'm ready to embrace it. I'm very, very looking forward to it. It's very different to have like in my world and the way the world I came from, to have like a conductor, and all this, I'm pretty much like played like by pulse, by feeling, and then sometimes having that kind of like
no pulse,
like abstract, and then I was like, okay, yeah, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, this is Felipe's debut with the orchestra, no?
Yeah, it's gonna be my debut with orchestra, and we're
talking about all these growing and expanding. I think it's phenomenal that it's lived. Like this is an example of it being lived, so, and for me too, I having this project, or this not project, but this collaboration between ACO, John, Kelly, myself, Felipe, it's been really unique, I would say.
Definitely a unique experience for everybody.
And I really would love to see this and all of its iterations continue. It's really, I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is a part of the magic of the collaboratory process, that even where the name comes from.
Absolutely.
Well, Chrystal, Felipe, congrats again, and thanks again. We're looking forward to the performance of this work.
Thank you, Loki.
Thank you.